Hey there YouTube, AJ here with a slightly different format for this video going into the new year. This past week I was off for Christmas and pretty much just dodged rain the whole time, so I never really could get a project out and started and done. So if you know my setup here, I work out of a very small garage, and like to do anything major I have to roll all my tools and stuff out into the driveway, the car, a lot of times, just depending on what I need to do to get more room to work. However, when it's raining like this, it doesn't work. However, when it's raining off and on like this, that's just not possible. So I have to content myself with doing like small little projects along the way. And I think I normally don't film those because it's such a pain. But I think I'm going to start doing that and using those as like kind of filler things between the bigger projects, because yeah, more of a vlog type, what am I doing type, I guess. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now, is some of those little projects. And I'm going to start with, if you watched my last video of last year, 2024, which you probably didn't looking at the analytics of it, I picked up this 1966 Ford truck drive shaft and mocked it up into my hot rod, and lo and behold, it fit perfectly.
It fits! Damn thing fits! I thought there were no more spaces. Am I an idiot or what?
So what we're going to do right now, I got about 20 minutes before the rain hits again. So the first thing I want to do is I pulled this out already, and I want to get it cleaned up so I can paint it. And then we also need to cut down the output yoke, and I'll explain that when we get there. But first, let's get this cleaned up and hope maybe a coat of paint on it before the rain comes. So I sprayed brake cleaner all over that. It's drying right now, so hopefully I can get it painted here soon. Rain is coming quick though. But the next thing I want to do, while I can still work outside, is this output shaft, which goes into my transmission, is actually from a GM Power Glide transmission. Has the right diameter and spline shaft though as my 1946 truck transmission. However, the barrel is a little too long with the drive shaft. What I did was I mocked up the drive shaft and measured the exposed part between the seal and the flange here, and that was 2 1/8 inch. And then I took the drive shaft loose, shoved this all the way in, and remeasured it. And basically what that gave me was an 1 inch and 5/8, 1 inch and 3/4. So what that meant was I had 3/8 of an inch free play at the end. Everything I've read has said 3/4 inch to 1 inch is typical for slip. I don't know. I don't think, because of the way my drivetrain is, it's not going to have a lot of travel, so I don't want to go 1 inch or more. I read some places, some people were using 1.5 inches, which seems really excessive to me. Maybe if you have a lifted vehicle that would work, but for this, I don't think I really even need. I kind of think that the 3/8 that I have would work, but I'm going to go ahead and cut another 3/8 off the end of this. And if you look at it, it is tapered at the end. So what I'm going to have to do is cut 3/8 inch off, which is where the blue tape is, and then I'm going to have to re-taper the edge and file all my splines nice in the inside before we move on. So there we go. Okay, well, we got it cut down. Still have to square this off. It's not perfectly square yet, so I'll put that on the sander and we'll square that off, and then we'll taper it. So if we put this on a square, you can see I didn't do too bad. It's just a little off, but it's pretty darn close. So it shouldn't take much to get this square. So we're going to use the table sander for that. Now because I can't lay this on here and have it be square because of the step here, I'm going to try to do this on top of the block like that. Hopefully that'll help us get it right. Alright, next thing I want to do is get the part of the 66 Ford truck drive shaft that I'm not going to be using and the old 66 Mustang drive shaft that I'm not going to be using. Get those somewhere out of the way. We will keep them for now in case a use comes up for them, but in the meantime I'm already tired of tripping over them. So up to the attic they go. And this is always fun, getting into my attic. Okay, out of sight, out of mind. Now, this is actually the harder part. To get down without killing myself. Okay. I'm gonna tape up the shaft of my slip yoke because we don't want paint on that. And I'm gonna plug all the holes on the yokes with these refrigeration plugs. I've been dragging around this box of refrigeration plugs, the rubber plugs that come in the end of refrigerated piping. When I used to work commercial refrigeration, I saved these things and I would use them for things like this to plug places I don't want to get paint. So I plugged all those up. Then after we get this taped up, we will shoot some rust reformer as a base coat on these, and then later paint them black after that dries. Now, kind of my philosophy has been lately to get something, anything, done on this project every day. Even if that means just going out to the garage and cleaning, because it's all stuff that's gonna have to get done eventually anyway, because I have to clean up the garage to do work on the car anyway. So, you know, just might as well just do that and make that my thing for the day. But you know, because I got a full-time job, traveling, all that kind of crap, I just try to get something done when I am here. And that's what I'm doing right now, is just getting something done. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to start working on these floor pans. In my last video where I'm on these, I cut them roughly to fit, and then off camera I trimmed them down a bit more so they fit better. They still got a little trimming to go, but now I can at least start marking them for bead rolling and flanging. So I'm going to start back here with this piece. And keep in mind, everything I do on this side, I got to do again on that side. So I'm only going to show you one side of it. So we're going to start here. Since this piece is long and skinny, I'm just going to put one single bead down the middle of it and that'll be plenty. And I'm going to come in, I think 2 inches from each end, put a mark. Put a 2-inch mark on the other side. Now I'm going to put a mark halfway on this line across this flat here. So we're going to come out 1.25 inches on each one. And then we should just be able to connect those lines. And that'll be our guide for our bead roll on that piece. Now these other pieces are a little more complicated because I have to flange these edges and put a drop in them so they sit in the rails here nicely. That way they'll fit right in here. Fortunately, the bottom of my speed square is perfect for where I want to mark them. So all I have to really do is go around all the edges of these. Well, not all of them. Some of them are going to be flat edges, some of them are going to have a flange. This particular pan back here, it has flanges on all 4 sides. So we're going to just go around it real quick. Okay, so we've got that all marked out. You know, this corner, I'm just going to kind of follow along the outside radius here, and it gives me, going to give me kind of a rounded edge, which fits in this rounded corner. But I don't like having these to be 90-degree corners here. So I'm just going to take my heel dolly here, line it up like so. Okay, and now we have rounded corners to follow. So this will be our stepped flange, and this part will be depressed in the middle. So now we need to look at what kind of bead rolling we're going to do on it. And since these are small panels and they're already going to be pretty darn strong, I'm just going to put a simple X in the middle of them. To do that, I'm just going to draw a line corner to corner. Oh, moved. And then I'm going to need a stopping point. I'm going to make that the same on all 4 corners. I'm going to come far enough out. I don't want to go too far into the corner. So let's say right there, which is 4.5. So we're going to mark that on our other sides. Honestly, these don't have to be perfect because they're going to be under carpet anyway, so I'm not super worried about it. So, that's the back. Up front, we got a little different scenarios. Okay, so what's different on here? All right, so this pan in the middle is similar. It is, however, kind of different on this edge here. I'll use the same method for marking on this side. But this side here has to be a little further indented because of the edge of this here. So we'll have to mark that specifically for that. And then, so under the seat, this one is going to also be flanged on all 4 sides. And I'll be able to use the same method to mark the edges. I also have to be aware that my seat riser, which is this inner square here that I've marked out, that is going to be under there too. So what I want to do is it's going to get flanged down like so all the way around, and I'll have to mark the center one like this one because it's going to be wider. And then once I do that, I'm just going to put a simple X in the bottom of it here. The other side's going to be different because that's going to be where my battery and electrics are going to be, and I'll cut the bottom of that one out so I won't be putting the X in there. And I'll probably double step that one so it's a little stronger. And since I'm gonna have to cut a hole in it and make a box to drop in it. This one's pretty simple. This one's pretty simple. It'll just get an X in the middle of it. This one will just get an X in the middle of that. Our front toe board, it's not going to have flanges on it because it lays flush on the supporting bracketry around it already. So this one's not going to get flanges the way the rest of them did. And it's going to get an X. On the passenger side, it'll be a bigger X because it'll cover the whole passenger floor. And on this side, it'll probably be an lopsided X where this comes down through here. And then a short crossbar because of the hole for all of our stuff up here. And I have to make a plate for this. So I probably will also go around this hole and flange it to where it sits in a little deeper so we can put a plate over here. Because it's going to have to be a two-piece plate in order to cover up all the gaps here. Okay, well, this is my driver's side toe board and it's kind of a mess. As you can see, if I put my X where I want it and I flange around this hole, one, my flange doesn't go clear out to the edge, and this edge needs to be flat. In fact, all these edges are flat. They're not getting stepped down like the rest of the rear floor pans. So this creates a problem here, and the X creates a problem here. So what I think I'm going to do is leave this as is, move my X. The hole, I'm not going to flange down, but I'm going to take, hopefully, the pieces I make to go in here to fill these holes, I'll be able to flange them the other way and have them recess into this. That's what I'm going to try to do. So we're not going to worry about this stuff now. We are going to reroute our X here. I'm trying to figure out a pattern where my X will be less lopsided. I'm almost going to have to just eyeball this in. I think I'm just going to leave this part alone. I think I'm just going to come and go from here to here. It's not exactly what I wanted, but I think it will look better in the long run. In the end, this is going to be a much smaller X, but I don't really have a lot of choice. Alright, that should work. To the bead roller. In an earlier video, you may have seen where I took my little 8-9 inch, whatever this is, Eastwood bead roller, and I motorized it using a small ring gear and starter motor gear adapted to a windshield wiper motor and a little speed controller. Now you get to see me use it for real. I do not have a lot of experience with bead rollers, so I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I guess I know in theory what I'm doing. I didn't make my lines long enough. So before I start every panel now, I'm gonna have to make those lines bigger so I can see them on either side of the die. And those would be my start-stop lines. So I'm gonna start with this real simple one, which is just a straight bead from here to here. And let's see what happens. Yeah, I can already tell I'm going to have to make another pass. It's not going very deep. And it's hitting this flange here, which is wanting to kick it out. So we'll have to fight that too. Alright, so let's put it in a little deeper. See if we can run it back the other way. In theory, it should be easier now. Oh shit, we're getting way out of line. Oh man. Alright, we're going to have to make another pass because I screwed that up. I started looking at other things. Yeah, see, I kind of messed up. I got offline there. Let's see if we can straighten that out a little bit. It's easier to run it that way than going the other way. Oh, I got way off there. Let's see. Yeah, we got kind of wonky there. Oh well, it'll be covered with carpet. We'll be fine. It's more about strength. All right. Yeah, like I said, it's a learning process for me. You can see here, I was doing pretty good here. And this is where I got offline. It's a little wonky there. I kind of tried to straighten it out, but it's got like a little extra flare in it over here. I'm not super worried about it because it's going to be under carpet here. If I was building this car as a profession, I would be worried about it. That wouldn't pass my muster. But as a first-time car builder, I think I'm doing pretty good with the skills I have. So, onward. So I'm going to go ahead and do all the round beads like for the X's first because those dies are already in here, and then I'll change the dies and I'll come back and do the outer edges. Okay, it went okay. I had a couple of miscalculations. I couldn't reach this little spot here, which I think I'd be able to hammer from the back side and put that kind of in there where it'll look okay. This was on the toe board part, and it was basically because I didn't plan for the lack of depth in the jaws of my bead roller. Same thing on the part that goes under the driver's seat. I couldn't get to the middle on it either. I might just leave this one like that and not worry about it. It's going to be plenty strong once I put the flange on it, and it's not going to be seen. So I probably won't worry about this one. I probably won't try to ham form this one in, but the toe board, I'm probably going to try to hammer that one in. The rest went fine. They worked out just fine for me. Again, this is a learning experience for me. I've never used a bead roller before. So that's not true. I've used this one a little bit before, but I haven't actually completed any projects with it. So this would be the first real project with it. Then let's see what's next. We got to change these dies and put in flanges. Well, it didn't go too bad. Doing the edges got kind of wonky. They bend to get out of shape. I don't know if having the X first helped or hurt. Whatever, it's done. I am going to have to take a hammer and work these edges, get them flat again. No big deal. This one piece here where I missed, I couldn't reach to complete this X. I do want to complete that X. So what I'm going to do is take these 2 pieces of steel here, lay the bead in between them, like so. Draw a line. And then I'm going to take this cross peen body hammer thing and hopefully be able to form that. Well, I'm not going to be able to form it right now because it's going to be loud. Hang on, let's change our location. All right, we're going to go around to the other side of the house, and hopefully my wife won't be able to hear this as loudly. So the reason I moved is my wife's office is above the garage there, and she's working today. I am not, and she's on the phone with clients, and so I don't want to be hammering right outside her window and making things harder for her. Doesn't look too bad from this side. All right, we can live with that. It's not perfect, but I don't know, it's better than having that gap in there, I think. Plus, again, nobody's gonna see it. Yeah, I think that's fine. Carry on. Okay, well, you can see I've got the back floor pans laid in. I still need to do probably some final fitting before I start welding, and a couple other things I need to weld on the subframe. Like there's a big gap. Like there's a big gap right here I gotta fill and weld. So we gotta do things like that. I'm not gonna show all the welding. Up front here, we got our front floor pans laid in. Yeah, you can see where this one, I really wish I could have brought this in further, but the problem was this was hitting on both corners. I couldn't get to this part here. So this one is what it is. It's a little wonky, but that's life. The other ones turned out pretty good. I still have to hammer the flanges flat on some of them, and you know, final fit before welding. Again, this stuff up here is not going to be welded. It's going to be removable. And then again, probably the biggest difference on the passenger side is what's going on underneath here, under the passenger seat. What we did was we flanged the edges like all the rest, and then I came in and I did another flange. So this actually steps down twice. And then somewhere in this area outside my seat base, I'm going to be using this Model A seat riser. So it's going to kind of fit in like that. And so somewhere in here, and I don't know if I'm going to drop this whole thing down or just a section of it, but I'm going to put in a place that drops down to the bottom of the frame level, and there's going to be a place to put a battery and my fuse box and other electronics under this seat. So that's where all that'll be. And that's why this one looks different and no X in the middle, because it's going to get cut and dropped. So the next thing I want to do is I'm still having trouble getting the bottom of this door in, and the body needs to twist a little more. And I need to put in some extra supports to kind of help hold that twist. There used to be wood braces in the frame here. I don't know exactly where, but all that wood is long gone. I found a very small piece of it left over from my dissection of the body. So as I've been going, I've been making up pieces of channel, just simple either hat channel like this or U channel to make braces and supports. And so what I'm going to do is take some of this U channel I've made, and I'm going to put a piece in here on both sides, a piece up front on both sides, and then behind the rear door in that corner as well. So I need to start marking these up to where they're going to fit and cutting these in to fit. Now this one here behind the driver's door, I think is going to be the most important one. I know this side needs to go out, so I think we'll want to put it in this way. That way it'll be pushing out on this and pushing in on here. We're going to go that direction. All right, that makes more sense to me. Let's get this roughed in here. I think we'll cut off this edge first. We'll start by cutting that off. Hopefully that'll fit pretty good. We'll see. Up here, I think what we want to do is tie in here to this brace here. It might take a little more creativity. Alright. Cut that there and there for this one and rough it in. And I expect all of these to take multiple cuts to get it fine-tuned in. But now on the back side, I'm going to run from this corner down into this bottom of this brace right here. I think what I want to do is weld to the front edge of this and here. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go cut these and see how close we are. I'll be right back and then we'll move on from there. All right, now that they're all fitting pretty good, we need to mark all these for center and drill our holes in them and stamp in our speed holes. And again, I'm not doing it just for the looks because they're all going to get covered up. I'm doing it more for the fact that I'm doing it more for adding rigidity with the stamped speed hole. That'll make the underlying metal stiffer. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and mark center on these and lay out my holes, and then I'll get back with you because, well, I mean, it's boring for you to watch me do this, I guess. Okay, so I drilled holes in here, but you may think they're not very big, and that is correct because I only drilled them large enough for these arbors for the press I'm going to be using. This is actually one of the best things I think I've ever bought. I really love this thing. I hate drilling holes with hole saws, and this is just this little hydraulic press pump. I don't know what you call the thing. Anyway, it makes cutting bigger holes in steel up to a certain thickness really easy. You basically take this little mandrel, thread it into the pump. I don't know, what do you call this part? It doesn't press, it pulls. What it does is when you start pumping the hydraulic, it pulls this and pulls the die through your steel. So once you get the arbor in there, you put on the bottom up part of your die, slide your piece over, put it in the cutter, and then thread this knurl nut down onto the cutter, and then just pump it. And then release it. Kind of take this all back apart, and you have a hole the size I need for the next step, which would be my speed hole, punch, flare, die, whatever you call those things. I guess they're a die. So yeah, anyway, I just need to do this, I don't know, a whole bunch more times. Get it? Hole. Okay, with all our holes punched through, it's time to move on to another monotonous task made easy by hydraulics. And I'm going to use the press and these dimple dies to flare out all the holes. It's still monotonous, but With the hydraulics, it's just a lot easier.
Touching, so here we go.
Oop, don't let it go up too far. Alright, so we got a dimple dyed hole. Just got to do that a whole bunch more times. Well, there you have it. A bunch of dimple dyed holes in simple U-channel braces trying to hold my body in place. One thing I do need to say is I recently used a 3D printer and printed this little knob to fit over the stud on the jack, and being able to just turn it on off, you know, release, tighten, you know, release it so the pressure goes off, and then turn it back to where you can pump it back up like that is so much faster and easier than looking for and using these stupid bent L-shaped handles. So really glad I did that. Simple little thing and makes life a lot easier. Since once these are installed, I won't be able to get to the back of them. I'm gonna go ahead and spray some paint on the back side. I know some of it will burn off, and I'll try to get in paint as best I can behind it, but I figure some is better than none. Hopefully we'll get some protection. Then we'll also try to spray in behind it once we're done welding. So I'm just gonna rough it up a little bit, clean it, rough it, and then we'll shoot some paint. Let this start drying while I start making the other side. That's about all I have time for today, so I'm going to start cleaning up, and hopefully tomorrow we'll get something else little done and keep adding to this video. Okay, so we got painted parts ready to be fit, and we have our drive shaft painted. Green was not my first choice, but this is the color of my engine, and it's the color of paint I had. I was going to paint it black. I can always paint it black later, but for now I just wanted to get it painted so it's done. Let's first go see if our modified slip yoke fits and it slides without trouble. I might need to do some more filing on this, but let's go test fit it real quick, and then if that works, we'll put some U-joints in here and get the drive shaft back in it. So up there's our transmission output, and see if we can get this on and see if it slides easy. This is not starting out well. There it goes. All right. So looks like it's pretty good. Now need to measure real quick with it fully compressed. And of course I can't find my tape measure, so we'll just have to try to eyeball it as best we can with the square. 1 3/8 fully in. And our previous measurement when it was fully inserted was 1 3/4, which means our 3/8 removal is what we got. So it seems to be sliding pretty well. I think I might take just a little bit of sandpaper and try to do a little more dressing on it, but otherwise it's ready to go. So, but other than that, we'll just throw some U-joints in it and get our drive shaft back in. Now it goes without saying, or maybe it needs saying, I don't know. I always try to clean out the ring grooves in my yokes as best I can, simply because it makes seating the rings easier and getting them out the next time easier. Just makes common sense to me. And then I also take and clean up the cylinder bores, so hopefully they will be nice and easy to slide in. Now when I say slide in, chances are I'm gonna have to hammer or press them in, because that's just the way these guys work. but having it as smooth as possible definitely doesn't hurt. I'm going to use Moog 369s, which are like a Spicer 1310 equivalent size. And these have a Zerk fitting in them for greasing. These are greasable U-joints. Not all U-joints are greasable. If you look at these, the Zerk fitting goes in one side. Oh. Come on, start. All right, and you can see that it is offset from the center line. When you go to put these in, you want to do two things. You want to, one, make sure this is on a side you can access, and two, you want this to be on the side of the yoke that is in compression the majority of the time, as in going forward in your car. And when you're in reverse, you're not going to do that as often, and you're not going to have as much load on the car typically. So you want to put this in the compression side. When this yoke is in the transmission and the car is going forward, it's going to be spinning this way. So if it's spinning this way, that means this side is going to have the compression on it. This side over here is going to be in tension, because this side is going to be pushing down and this side is going to be being pulled. So you want to put this Zerk fitting on the compression side, which means it's going to go on this way. Now I also want to put the Zerk fitting on the back side so it's not facing my transmission and making it hard to get into greasing. And then the same thing on the input shaft of the rear end. It's going to be this way and it's going to be going that direction. So I need to make sure that the Zerk is on this, basically the same side, so it's in compression as well. However, I want it to be out here on the other side so it's facing the middle of the car and easier to get my grease gun on. I do like to take just a light smear of grease for two things: to help not seize the cups bearing, or the U-joint cups, to the yokes, and hopefully it'll also make them hammer, press, slide in easier. And then I'll do the same thing on both ends of my drive shaft. Take off both our cups from the end it's going to be in our yoke. Put our yoke in, again mindful of which end is going to be in compression, or which side, I mean, not end. Start one of our cups. Let's see if we just can't tap it in a little further. Nice. Okay, went in pretty good. We're in deep enough now we can insert the other one. You don't want any of those needle bearings to get out of position, because then it makes it hard to get it over the shit. That is what you don't want to do. You do not want to drop these. Alright. I didn't lose any. Got a couple a little out of position. Let's clean off the dirt. Put that little guy back. And then let's try again. Okay, I got it slid over into this side now. Alright, now we've got it in, but it's not tight. So we got to push these in to where they're down past where we can get the snap ring in. First, I'm just going to hammer them flush. That way everything's good and solid now. I don't have to worry about losing it. So now I need to get a socket or something so I can hammer these in to where I can get the snap rings in. Okay, we're going to move over to this chunk of steel here. Got a socket. Okay, I'm in past the snap ring. Go over here, do the same thing on this. I guess let's put the snap ring in first. Let's go ahead and put this side snap ring in. Hopefully this will go in easier than they came out. Alright. That one went in very easy. Okay, now we're going to flip it. That way we can't drive the other one back out. Get this one some few whacks in to get it below the snap ring groove. Alright, let's see if we can get this snap ring. Come on. Okay, now it's really snug in there, but it's there. And we can see our snap rings are in to the groove on both sides. Now this end's ready to go in the other end of the yoke.
Caps off.
Okay, so back here underneath the car again, I'm gonna smear some grease around my output shaft and put some in the splines inside. I have a pretty fair opinion that my output shaft's going to leak anyway. I'm going to have to replace those seals at some point. But, you know, I'm not going to do all that kind of stuff until I get the car running and it shows me where it's leaking. So we're going to slide our output yoke up onto our splines, hopefully, and slide it in, bottom it out, and that's it for the transmission end. The back end at the differential is a little different. Let's go back there. Okay, so as you can see back here, we have a different yoke that has these little tabs, so you don't need the retaining rings in your end of your U-joints. These tabs retain it, and then U-bolts go through here and hold in the other bearing caps. I just realized I haven't cleaned this. I'm going to grab a wire brush and try to clean this up a little bit before I put it in there. And at some point I'm going to have to clean this all and paint it. But, you know.
Cleanliness is next to godliness, they always say.
I guess some's better than nothing, huh? Yeah. That'll do for now. All right. Now, okay, to get us started, we're just going to stick one side in really loosely, just enough to get the nuts started. And we should be able to slide a cap in there and have one side at least held while we work on the other one. Okay, now we got to take off our tape. And hope nothing falls apart. And then with our drive shaft slid all the way forward, put in one side. Now, at least we know it's not going to fall now. This hole must be dirtier than the other side. Jeez, they don't want to go through. With the paint and the dirt in the hole, should clean those holes up first. All right. And our cap is not in all the way. There we go. All right. So now our cap just slid up. All right. That's good. Now we can go ahead and start snugging stuff down once we get these out far enough. And I'm going to need something to assist with that. Oh, everything's a hammer if you try hard enough. There we go. Okay, well, the camera died before I tightened those down. I went ahead and tightened them down, but this gives you a good idea, I think. Hang on, let me move the light for you. This gives you a good idea of what the how this sits in here. See the little tab? It holds the U-joint cap, and then the U-bolt actually holds the whole thing together. So our drive shaft, wow, this light really makes that drive shaft look bright green. It is not John Deere green like that. In reality, this is a really dark hunter green, but this LED light really makes it look funky. So it's not this color. If it was this color, it definitely would get painted. But the dark green I like, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so basically we have a drive shaft, front to back, back to front, whichever way you want to look at it. So that's cool. Now, one more thing while I'm down here. I cobbled up this Crossmember out of the existing Model A Crossmember right here, and part of an F1 Crossmember. I had just the center section where the transmission mount goes and nothing else. So I fabricated all this crap together. I was never happy with it, and I definitely wasn't happy with how I had to mount my master cylinder. So I just found on Facebook Marketplace a full F1 Crossmember. I got to go up this Saturday and cut it out of a frame, but with that full F1 Crossmember, when I tear this car down, I will probably be remaking this whole center Crossmember, eliminating this problem maybe. I'm not sure if I'll keep any of the original Model A Crossmember or not, but I definitely want to clean all this up and put in one solid piece, and maybe even relocate my master cylinder. That's coming. I'm glad I found it. I'm not happy I did all this work, but I was never happy with this work, so fine. You know, we'll redo it. I'm just glad I finally got a F1 Crossmember. I've been looking for a long time, and they've either been crazy expensive or cross the country, or, you know, to where I'd have to pay crazy shipping. I've just never been happy with the deals I found. And this guy offered me basically, you come up, cut it out, and it's yours for 40 bucks. So that's a win. I'm going to take it. I'll be up there this Saturday doing that. However, right now it's looking like it might start raining, so I'm going to clean up a little bit and go grab some food because I'm hungry and it's lunchtime. So, and then after I eat, we'll see what else we can get into. All right, well, I'm back from lunch. I made myself a couple sunny side up eggs and some andouille sausage, and it was delicious. Soaked it all up with a piece of sourdough bread, and of course more coffee. Now back out here, still looks like rain, but the forecast isn't saying rain, but my bones are telling me rain. So I think it's going to rain, so I'm going to stay to the garage today. I'm not going to drag out all my crap. So back to the inside of the car here, except I have a problem. You probably wouldn't know it to look at it the way it is right now, and no one's ever going to know this because this is going to have upholstery here eventually, but I screwed up. So this one's from the passenger side and this one's the driver's side. Can you see where I screwed up? I can. I know it's there. Even though nobody's ever going to see it, I'm going to have to remake this piece. Same size, same size, same size. Small, medium, large. Small, medium, large. Small, large, large. I screwed up. I accidentally punched out this one to the large side. Didn't realize until I'd actually finished the stupid thing. So I think I was dimple dyeing this one. I had these two left to go when I realized it. I was like, ah, crap. So I know no one's gonna know, and there are a lot of sins in this car that I'm hiding, but I can't let that one go. Here's the thing. I do have some OCD issues, and one of those OCD issues I have is about symmetry. And just knowing that this side, that the driver's side is going to be different than the passenger side, that'll eat at me. I know it's in there. I'll know no one can see it, but it will still bug me to death. There's so many other things could be more meticulous about, and that's what's going to bother me. I hate it, it does, but it's going to. So I got to remake this one. So I'm going to go remake this one, and yeah, we'll move on from there. Okay, there it is, remade. Let it dry, then we can do the final fitment of it in the car. It's been spitting rain. I don't know what's next right now. Okay, while I was thinking about what I was going to do next, I went ahead and started loading up my Jeep for Saturday and with the stuff I was going to need for removing that F1 Ford Crossmember out of that frame. So I got a couple long power cords, cordless grinder with a cutting wheel, another grinder with a cutting wheel, grinder with flap disc, grinder with just a big grinder with a grinding disc. Got a bunch of drill bits to drill out rivets and punches to drive them out, and a big hammer and a pair of gloves. So hopefully we're prepared for that. Now, as to what I'm going to do next. I think it was back on Prime Day. I bought this Creeworks ultrasonic cleaner. I've got a lot of stuff that needs clean. Valves, valve guides, springs, all that kind of stuff for the motors to put them back together. And then I also have somewhere between the neighborhood and 8 to 10 Holley 94 carbs in various conditions. This one is like the gunkiest one. I think this was actually on one of my motors. So we're going to experiment with that one as a whole, not taking it apart yet. And then I have a box of parts from another one that's been disassembled in various conditions. So we're going to kind of put these parts in there and see how they fare both in the assembled and unassembled states, kind of see which one's better. Drain hose, don't need that. Instructions and fitting for drain hose, don't need that. Power cord, we'll need that. Now I assume this is pretty simple. It's got some basic controls, heating, cleaning, so you can run the temperature up, time up to 30 minutes. So basically all I'm going to do is set this thing on high and 30 minutes and see how it cleans. And now we need fluid. I got some concentrated simple green and a jug of hot water. Okay. This is about a gallon. Might have to go get some more water. So we're going to put our lid on there. And we're going to let this thing buzz and cook for 30 minutes to see what happens. I'll get back with you then. Well, it's been 30 minutes. Let's see what we got. It's a little warm. Well, I guess we could just lift the basket out. How about that? Let's not be stupid. Okay, well, they are cleaner. Shouldn't have bothered with this top, because this top is the truck type carb, and I'm not going to be using that. So, well, it's cleaner now, and we're not going to worry about it. We'll leave that one out. Let's see. This base is definitely cleaner. It's not as clean as it could be. It's not spotless by any shout, but it's also got rust on it, which I don't expect this to take off rust. So, but it's definitely much better. Oop. And then the full car, what do we got? Oh, we're stuck in the basket. Yeah. I mean, I think it is a lot cleaner than we started with, so it's definitely not like all it's going to need, but it is better. Probably going to need more soaking, so it's definitely like even that gasket's softer, but it's not completely gone, so that's going to need some work yet. Probably if I had my super scraper out, I could get the rest of that off pretty good, but for now we'll just make do with the knife. Okay, so basically it's going to take more than one 30-minute cycle, especially if it's whole like this. And if you were just looking to like degunk it before taking it apart, this definitely helps. I think I'll set this one out to drain and dry. Again, right now I'm just experimenting. I'm really not trying to clean. And then I'm going to do something different here. I'm going to take some super grimy parts, and these are from my one ABA engine that basically darn near every single valve was broke to get it out. Like in this one, the valve guide is broke, so this is really useless. These are just the intake side, broken valve head. Hey, there's a valve that came out. We got a bunch of grimy springs. We gotta throw all those in. Another broken valve guide, broken valve. This one, the valve guide's not broke, but the valve is broken, stuck in it. There's a good valve guide, be reused. I'm gonna try to use those in like little art projects. So I want them cleaned up eventually, so I'm just gonna throw these in there and give them a test. In this same batch, this jar of keepers, and fill it up with fluid and put the lid on it. And I'm doing this because all these little pieces are going to fall through the basket, and I don't want that. But anyway, I'm going to try to go ahead, put all these in here. You should be able to, like, even if you don't put cleaning fluid in this, you can fill it with water and put a jar of parts with cleaning fluid in it, and the ultrasonic is supposed to still be able to clean through the sound waves or going through the water and then into the jar of cleaning fluid, and it's supposed to clean that way. That way you don't have to use as much cleaning fluid. So we're going to test out that theory as to if that works, and then we're going to see how much gunk we get off of all those parts and pieces, and hopefully it'll make removing the valve stems from those valve guides that are stuck, and so I'll be able to save those as well. Hopefully it'll make that possible. Anyway, crank up our heat, put our lid on. Our lid didn't quite fit because of the jar, and yeah, turn it back on and go again. Now let's see what we got here. Let's pull our jar out first. The stuff in the fluid inside is pretty darn gross, and it's pretty dark, and all this fluid is really dark too. So something definitely came off. Now, one thing I did after I turned off the camera, I remember I had these lifters from this engine as well, and it may have been a mistake because these things immediately started bubbling and filled up with water. I forgot they were hollow, so I don't know if I should have done that or not, but they're definitely cleaner. Yeah, everything's already cleaner. There's still a lot of gunk. Like, look at the goop on top of this lifter. But the bottom line is, even if all I do is use these for an initial clean, it will make cleaning this stuff up a lot easier in the long run if I don't have to scrape all the goo off of it. So I think it's worth it. Let's see. This clip I couldn't get off before. It's still stuck pretty good, so it didn't do me any favors there. Oh, it moved just a little bit, so it did do something. All right, it's starting to move, so that did help. Part of me wants to, oh, look at that. That's a win. All right, that's okay. I saved a valve, I saved a valve guide. That couldn't get that out before, so that's a win. I don't know. Everything's fairly clean. I mean, it's going to save me a lot of work either way. I'm trying to decide if I want to throw these through in for another round. Oh, look at that. All right, I could not get this off before, and I just got it off. So it saved me there. Well, it's a bright and sunny but cold Saturday morning. It's only just now getting up to 32 degrees freezing point. So yeah, I'm on my way to go see if I can get that F1 Ford Crossmember out of a frame. Got an arsenal of tools in the back, so hopefully it won't be too bad. If I'm lucky, the inner distance between the frame rails will be wider than the outer distance of my frame rails, which means instead of having to drill out rivets and knock out rivets and stuff, I should be able to just cut it right inside the frame rails and use the center section. I won't have to mess with all that, getting all those rivets out. The guy's parting out the whole frame, so obviously he doesn't want me to just hack up his frame, so I gotta leave it as nice as I can, you know. So let's hope that it is wider on the inside than mine is on the outside, so we can make it short work of this. Otherwise I got a bunch of work to do to get rivets out. So, well, I took a quick measurement and it's not wide enough, so I gotta take out the whole thing, which means I gotta remove the rivets. So I got some work ahead of me, but here she is. There's the cross member I want, so it's gonna take me a bit to get to it. Well, of course the battery died and I didn't notice it, but I got it out, all the rivets. There was 12 rivets total. I got 11 of them out in an hour and a half, and then the last rivet took me a half hour just by itself. So, you know, it was in a very hard to reach place, and you know, trying not to mess up the guy's frame. It was tough. But anyway, it's in good shape. Well worth the time and the money. Only 40 bucks, so I'm very happy with that deal. So we'll have to replace that cobbled up one I made with this one, and at least we'll have a better looking crossmember under there. I guess that's going to be it for this kind of rambling all over the place video. Doing a little bit of this and that, but you know, sometimes that's the way it goes. You don't start up the project and get one thing done, you know, necessarily. At least the way, you know, when you work a full-time job and you got, you know, limited time and space, you do what you can and when you can. So that's what this was all about. So thanks for watching. Appreciate you coming along for the ride. Just hit that subscribe button and follow along. See if I ever get this thing done. I'm hoping to have it on the road by the end of 2025. No paint, no interior, but drivable, I'm hoping. So if we can accomplish that this year, I'll be happy. And then 2026 will be all about paint and interior. So yeah, other than that, I guess I don't know what's coming up next, but until then, YouTube, later. This is kind of weird having floors to sit on, not falling through the car anymore.